The order of the worlds. What kind of worlds are there and which order do they function? This is Shores of Infinity, Chris speaking, with another video about the Life Divine of Sri Aurobindo, Book 2, Chapter 21, The Order of the Worlds. When we hear the title, The Order of the Worlds, we assume that there will be a chapter like in Meher Baba's God Speaks or in Uspensky's In Search of the Miraculous, where all the worlds and its laws and rules are explained. This is not so, because Sri Aurobindo assumes that his readers are familiar with the Vedas and Upanishads, which is probably not true for almost anyone today. There's a passage in the Upanishads, in the Mundaka Upanishad, 7 are these worlds in which move the life forces that are hidden within the secret heart as their dwelling place 7 by 7. And indeed, there seem to be 7 worlds. If we use Meher Baba's summary, there is the gross physical world, then there are 4 subtle worlds, but the first subtle world overlaps so much with the gross world that they're only counted as 1. So 4 subtle worlds, and the first of them is very similar to the gross world. Then 2 mental worlds, and then there is the 7th plane or 7th world. And Sri Aurobindo assumes that you know this. There's the gross world, there's the subtle or vital world or worlds, then there's the mental world or worlds, and beyond, above the mental world, there's the supramental. The super or supra doesn't mean it's better, like we use the word today, but it means above. So it's above or beyond the mental world. There's a supramental world or spiritual world, and Meher Baba called it the 7th plane of existence. Or if we see it the other way around, there's the divine or absolute or whatever you want to call it. The divine creates Satchidananda, the 3 basic principles of the universe. From Satchidananda, all kinds of other things are created, and in the end, at the end of the order, so to say, the mental worlds, the subtle worlds, and the gross world. The gross world, the subtle or vital worlds, and the mental worlds are all part of Maya. That is also why Plato and Socrates spoke about the ideal world. It's not ideal in the meaning of better or best. It's ideal because it's an image. It's an image that is not yet manifest. It's the cause. That's also why Ken Wilber called the mental world causal world. Now, the mental world causes the subtle world world causes the gross world. The gross world, the physical world, is a manifestation, or as Sri Aurobindo explains here in this chapter, it is the manifestation. None of these worlds have any importance or meaning without the physical world. The physical world is the most important world. It is not the cause, but it is the only world where real manifestation can take place, where things can really come into being. We need these mental images. We need the life force. We need the spiritual cause from Satchidananda and from the divine. But all this comes to fruition in the physical world. Without the fruit of the physical world, without the physical fruit that you can touch and eat, it's all for naught. That's why in our society nowadays we make the mistake to assume that there's only a physical world and we don't take the other world seriously. Even people on the spiritual path usually don't take the subtle world seriously. They think it's some kind of playground, some fantasy world. It's not. It's super dangerous there. One of the laws of the physical world is mortality. Life has an end. It cannot exist for an infinite time. In the other worlds, life can exist much longer, can hold on to something much longer. But in the physical world, things die, including us. Reality is infinite. Time is infinite and non-linear. Energy is infinite. Life is infinite. But not on the physical world. There everything is finite. So all this Sri Aurobindo supposes and assumes that we know already when we read this chapter. If you don't know this, you cannot understand this chapter, and you're swimming around and you're wondering what the heck is he talking about. Yeah, he's only talking about the order. The chapter is called The Order of the Worlds, not the 7 worlds or something. So he assumes that you know the worlds, the 7 worlds, and now he talks about the order. Now, these worlds are not in the original creation subsequent in order to the physical universe, but prior to it. Prior. If not in time, in their consequential sequence. So, from the top down, there are causes. The divine causes Satchidananda causes the Maya, and Maya you can divide into mental, subtle and physical. So all the first 6 worlds, the physical, the 4 subtle or vital worlds and the 2 mental worlds, they're all part of Maya, and they're caused by the spiritual. It's a causal sequence, a consequential sequence, not a sequence of time or importance. Simultaneously, there is a descending movement from top down and an ascending movement from the bottom up. And this again is what we know already as involution and evolution. Involution is from the top down and evolution is from bottom up. And we are part of this evolution movement from the bottom up. We're living mostly in the physical world. We are special beings, human beings, because we can live in all these worlds. We can live in the physical world, the subtle worlds, the mental worlds, and the spiritual worlds. And it doesn't matter if there are 2 worlds or 3 or 5 or 7 or 10 or 100 or infinite. What matters is matter. We can exist for a limited time in the physical world. Not every being can do this. And while we are in this physical world, we're working on the evolution of consciousness from the very bottom upwards. All the other worlds, all these higher worlds, so to say, have not really come into being. They do exist somehow, but they have not come into full being. Here in the physical world, everything has come already into full being. It really exists. But it is not the only thing that exists, and it's not the only type of existence. We have a body, for example, and this body can only exist in the material, in the physical, in the gross plane. And then we have life, mind and spirit, which we can summarize as the soul. And the soul exists in all these other worlds. So we have access to these other worlds via our soul. And as long as we are incarnated, that is the reason why incarnation must be a thing. As long as we are incarnated, these two are one. The soul and the body are one. Once we die, the body dies, but the soul keeps on existing. And then can be reincarnated in some other carne, some other flesh, in some other body. Carne means flesh. So the lower worlds can influence the higher worlds, and the higher worlds can influence the lower worlds. That is also why immaterial medicine works, be it psychotherapy or homeopathy or theta healing or any other more immaterial stuff. It works because it works from the subtle worlds down on the physical world. In theta healing, for example, a kind of energy healing, we also talk about 7 worlds. And the only way to heal, the proper way to heal in theta healing, is to assign an order to the 7th plane of existence, and this then will override Maya. It sounds really weird and stupid, but it works. Yeah, the 7th plane is beyond the mental, so it's supramental, above or beyond the mental. The gross, the physical, the gross, the subtle, and the mental are all part of Maya. The supramental is the first plane that is not part of Maya. So the supramental can change what is happening in Maya. And the greatest achievement of Maya is the physical plane of existence, is the gross world, which we usually assume is the only one, because we cannot prove that the other worlds exist. Aurobindo writes here, it's foolhardy to think that we can ever prove that non-material worlds exist. We cannot prove it, because proving, we think of a physical proof. They're not physical, so we cannot prove them, or their existence, in a physical way. The downside of this involution from consciousness down to the physical world, to inconsciousness, to the inconscience, is is our stupidity. I think no one can doubt that human beings are really stupid. We're not the pinnacle of evolution. We're the pinnacle of stupidity. We're the forefront of evolution. That, yes, we're basically the front line. In a war, you have a front line. The soldiers who die first. That's us. We are preoccupied with our outermost life, with our outermost layer of life. So on this way of evolution upwards, out of Maya, we have to turn inwards first. Inwards is upwards. If we always look outside, we only see the most outermost layer and the most superficial of the gross plane. Aurobindo writes here, we are to discover our inner being, our spiritual self, and aspire to overpass Earth and her limitations. As the human being grows more and more inward, his or her boundaries, mental, vital, spiritual, begin to broaden. The bonds that held life, mind, and soul to their first limitation loosen or snap. And the mental part of the human being begins to have a glimpse of a larger kingdom of self and world closed to the first earth life. So what we want to look at is the superstructure, not the foundation. We are in the basement or foundation all the time. We want to go up to the higher levels of the building and see from top down, have a larger view. And for that, we need to cross the subtle realms and arrive at the mental realm. The mental realm is really our destiny, where we can really come into being what human beings are capable of. Right now we limit ourselves to a very, very small part of our abilities, but a very important part. It's a very important part that human beings can exist for a limited amount of time on this physical plane of manifestation. This may be the greatest power that human beings have. We're actually mental beings who incarnate in the physical plane of existence, not the other way around. We always think, we are physical beings, and how can we reach the mental plane? That's back asswards. We're mental beings who are able to incarnate and to live for some years on the gross world. That's why if you go inside, you go up to the mental world and realize your full potential. He writes here at the end of the chapter, an action from within and an action from above can overcome the predominance of the material formula, diminish and finally put an end to the power of the unconscious, reverse the order of the consciousness, substitute the spirit for matter as his conscious foundation of being, and liberate its higher powers to their complete and characteristic expression in the life of the soul embodied in nature. So we are embodied in nature. We are part of nature. That's also why we shouldn't destroy the planet, by the way. We are part of nature. We are part of this planet as long as we are embodied. We are made of the material of this planet. Yet, we are mental beings who are embodied. We are not only the body. We are beings who are embodied. And when we die, we will be embodied again. But this series of reincarnation is not on a linear time scale. It's not that when you die in 2024, you will be reborn in 2024, 2025. Time doesn't matter here. And of course, your body and your parents and your genetic material and so on, whatever you're made of, will also influence who you are in that life. Your culture, your upbringing, your traumata, and so on. So every life is a little bit different, but it's still the same mental being, embodied, incarnated. Why? Because it's part of this evolution movement. So evolution and involution and reincarnation, they all belong together. It's one big thing. They don't work without one of them. And that is the order of the world. There's a top-down and a bottom-up movement and structure, but it's not a structure of hierarchy. It's only a structure of movement and communication between the worlds, of commerce, as Aurobindo calls it. What does commerce mean? It doesn't mean to make money, it means exchange. Dealing, that an action takes place between two or several parties, in this case not people, but worlds. Okay, that's it for today. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. It helps other people find this channel. It's the only channel that deals in publicly outside of the ashram in detail with Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, experience and spirituality, the integral yoga. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for joining me as a Patreon, and thank you to all those who have already joined me as a Patreon. It means a lot. It makes a big difference so I can go on with this channel. Thank you very much.